Scott, Tess, good morning. Abel Kai Gblah is not new to this courthouse behind me. He has actually failed his probation, or violated his probation rather, 4 times before. And some lawmakers simply say that if he was in jail for those violations, the level 2 sex offender would not have the opportunity to reoffend, like he was accused of doing last month when police say he was accidentally buzzed into the main entrance of Orangewood Elementary School, where he allegedly posed as a doctor and lured a child into an empty classroom to sexually assault her. Lawmaker Janae Shamp says Gblah's case exposes flaws in the system and plans to make this a top priority for this legislative session. She wants to introduce tougher bills to create more oversight for sex offenders on probation.
We're going to restore accountability, and we're going to restore the principle that protecting children is non-negotiable. We will pursue reforms that ensure uniform, tough, mandatory responses to violations, public reporting with no secrecy. You hurt a child, you do not get to hide anymore.
Child safety advocates say another issue is the plea deals that some of these sex offenders are getting that are giving them lighter sentences and the ability to reoffend. And we reached out to Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell on this. She says that her concern lies with probation officers with these sex offenders who are being monitored, guys. A little less than an hour and a half away from that arraignment. Of course, we'll join you live back here again at 8 and 9 o'clock to tell you what happens inside of that courthouse.